in
Dude,
there. It is.
that's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to a live version of the Smylie Show here.
Hola.
Hola, indeed. Coming from, you're fresh in from Philadelphia. You were there this week at the Cricket Club, of course. Lots to get to there. We got to talk about the course itself. We got to talk about Smylie's sightseeing trip and just, all the different pieces of culture in Philadelphia he took in. I think the place we got to start, Smylie, is with a one-day belated Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, of whom we appreciate, the grandmothers, the great-grandmothers, all the people that make our lives possible. We had a fun little celebration here. My mom was in town. It was kind of nice. What were you able to do for Fran? Did you do an early one, or do you have a late Mother's Day plan to celebrate your wife?
Put me on the spot, eh? Put me on the spot,
yeah,
eh?
A little bit. Would like to see.
Well, we have our Mother's Day planned today, so a day late and a dollar short, if you will. For Anna Carter and I made cinnamon rolls this morning, so that was step one of doing things for mom. You can't really ever truly repay mom for all they've done for around the house and all they do to make our lives easier. So got that knocked out, and then whenever Anna Carter wakes up from her nap later, we'll take step two, which who knows, could be anything. Yeah. Maybe even go to Home Depot if we have enough time.
Home Depot for Mother's Day. That's an interesting one. That feels like
that's an old school reference, dude. Come on.
Oh God. Okay. Wow. Just over my head. Well, it sounds like I need to rewatch Old School. That's nice. That's good. I'm glad you're getting it in. Look at the two of you making cinnamon rolls to start the morning. Very good.
We had
stuff.
fun. We had fun.
I took, of course, I planned a little morning for Amanda. We did a Thursday celebration, and we ended up at a golf simulator to end it out. So that was just a little extra one for me as well.
Sure.
You got to start celebrating Father's Day early. Good to see you and Anna Carter getting after it. You were, of course, the reason you were not in Alabama for Mother's Day is you were on site at Philly Cricket this week, walking the grounds for NBC, the Golf Channel coverage. But of course, we have to talk about your cultural experience in Philadelphia prior to the golf itself. And so, let me get this from you. How many cheesesteaks did you eat while there? And are you prepared to kind of rate them on a cheesesteak rating scale that you're devising here on the spot?
No, because I didn't get enough places. I only went to one place.
So you could rate one cheesesteak.
I can officially rate the cheesesteak from Rich's Deli, and it was terrific. Great place. Well, first off, if you've ever ordered a Philly cheesesteak in Philly, you got to be prepared.
It's kind of a cauldron. Yeah.
It's not like, hey, not with this or not with it's wit. I think wit means like onions, right? Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So then the first question they asked, I'm like, is he asking, is this with cheese? I'm like, I did order a Philly cheesesteak, so surely they know like wit is with that. But also I didn't know if that was like the cheese sauce thing, You know what I'm talking about? Like the Philly.
Oh, absolutely. And that's actually good. I've always understood wit as with onions.
Yes.
Because you'd assume the cheese comes on it, but that's a good question. Do people order Philly steaks without cheese on them? That just doesn't seem right.
Well, I listen. You just don't know when you haven't really been in Philly in quite some time, and then you have that first order. So I was just a little concerned. But Rich's Deli, they really made me feel like I knew what I was doing. I say that's whiz. Some F in the chat is saying whiz is the cheese whiz. So I didn't get the cheese whiz. I basically just got basic Philly cheesesteak with the onions. And what else did I get? I guess they threw like provolone on with the cheese, but instead of doing like hot peppers, which I think people do, I went banana peppers, and I'm a big banana peppers guy.
Love
so I was a big fan of that, and I gave it an 8.8.
An 8.8. Okay, that's a high mark. And then, do I have this right? I think I saw this on your social media. You went to one of the more iconic Philly cheesesteak places, maybe like Geno's, but they were all out of bread? Angelo's. Got it.
Angelo's. The pizza at Angelo's, I think Dave Portnoy gave like a 9.1. So they don't just do Philly cheesesteaks. They do pizza too. And I think his pizza was rated like one of his highest ratings for a pizza.
Okay.
And so when they spit that thing out, we were going to go to Angelo's to get a Philly cheesesteak and a pizza. And then we're going to go to Del Rossi's right after to also do the exact same thing, to try a Philly cheesesteak and a pizza there. So we were just going to kind of like, share, everybody have a kind of a bite. And unfortunately they ran out of bread. It was 5:00 on a Friday. So that was a big bummer, as everyone was saying how good the Philly cheesesteak was from there. But the pizza was incredible. Nice, crisp, a little bit of flop, and the cheese and the sauce were just out of this world.
Top tier, man. That is. I'll say this: like it's interesting when you go to a place like that where they're so known iconically for that one steak, to just be surprised by another menu item. It's like, is it a letdown or is it a nice little discovery there? But I'm glad like, were you happier with the slice of pizza than you would have been with the cheesesteak?
Well, I was in the mood for a slice of za, because once you've eaten so many cheesesteaks, you honestly are just looking for anything other than a cheesesteak. But you just know that if it's there and available, you have to do it.
And this is the same place that JT and Keith Mitchell went, correct? Angelo's?
They didn't go. Angelo's brought it to the clubhouse. They did not have to they did not have to grind it out like the rest of us. They go downtown, which, by the way, traffic in Philly sucks.
No good.
Worst part about Philly for sure was the traffic. But you don't sit down at Angelo's. Like you order at the counter, you take it to go. Like people are just eating their pizza, their Philly cheesesteaks out on the street, just hanging out. And the line can get really long. Apparently, the line wasn't very long for us because we called it in. But really, it was a cool part of town too. I like the little area.
I love that. Yeah, that was a very flattering image that Keith Mitchell posted of Justin Thomas, which was, of course, fun little look for them. They had to, indulge in the culture a little bit, and I think that takes us right where we want to get started on the golf, Smylie, which is we're going to get to Sepp Straka's win. I mean, Sepp putting together quite a year, really kind of trending inside the top 10 in the world golf rankings.
Is he now?
He's 9th in the world right now.
What?
So, yeah.
Oh my God.
Another kind of step up, another win this year alongside the Amex he won earlier this year. Playing really good golf all season long. Feels like kind of like a lock for the Ryder Cup at this point. But before we get to that,
he wasn't even in like the top 20 in the Ryder Cup standings heading into the week. So I'm curious to see while you keep going. I'm going to look it up to see where he jumped to.
Well, and where I want to start before we get to the Sepp conversation is with the help of our good friends at Ahead. And this was kind of the topic du jour outside of the competition itself this week, which is we're going to call this one a look ahead, and then maybe in parentheses and to the past, because ahead this week we played Philly Cricket, the Wissahickon course at Philly Cricket Club, an A.W. Tillinghast course that designed in the 1920s from the golden era of American golf course architecture, part of that Philly group of architects that did so many of America's most iconic works. So here's where we're going to start, Smylie. Ahead's clients want to use technology to deliver differentiating customer experiences, launch new digital products faster, and uncover massive efficiency gains through automation and modernization. Yet they're unable to progress fast enough. Ahead's purpose is to accelerate their progress and do so in a way that creates significant and sustainable business impact. Learn more at ahead.com. Here's why that's topical, Smylie. You heard talk about all the modernization that happens via our partners at Ahead. And Rory McIlroy came into this week, glowing comments about the course, the venue, the desire to play more of these. And where he kind of netted out on it is this course, I think, played about 7,100 yards. It's a par 70. He said if this course is about 500 yards longer, it'd be perfect. The sort of, the questions it would be posing of players, the type of shots you have to hit would be a better test of golf, right? The winning number, 16 under. I think it was maybe 53 guys finished under par of a field that was just shy of 70 after 3 guys withdrew. So maybe not the most grueling test. A lot of players played well here this week, and you had to go pretty deep into the teens to get the thing won. but at the same time, just passing the eye test. I felt like even watching that final group, Shane Lowry and Sepp Straka, they were getting penalized for short-sided misses. I felt like the green complexes were, provided some intrigue. That we saw how that played out on the 18th hole with Shane, three-putting and eventually making it a lot easier for Sepp to win the tournament. So just what were your assessment of the way this course played this week for starters? And could it have played tougher if you didn't have all that rain that softened up the course at the beginning of the week?
Oh, totally. I mean, a golf course that isn't very long as you begin there. So you really do need rough, you need wind, you need firmness of the greens and some tricky hole locations to really challenge these guys. And so on Thursday, when we had softer conditions, zero wind at all, and I thought hole locations that weren't really hiding quite as much as I thought they might, it was a shootout on Thursday. And if it would have stayed like that the rest of the week, it would have been 30 under would have won. But Mother Nature helped a ton to get this score at 16 under for the end of the week. Friday was, it was somewhat scoreable for about 2 to 3 hours, but then the last like 2 hours of the guys that had to play that were in the back half of that wave, it was raining, it was cold, it was challenging for the most part because the rough, if you did hit in the rough, it was deep enough to where the rough was had a lot of moisture and on it to where it was difficult to get balls onto the green, especially some holes that had forced carries. And then Saturday was a perfect day, but it blew it was gusting up to 25 out there, and the greens kind of dried out just enough to where some holes became a little bit more challenging. And then you throw hole locations that are up on these, high pitches on these greens, the scores again didn't go quite as low on Saturday. So Friday and Saturday kind of, if you shot 500, it was a really good day. And then Sunday, you saw some low scores, but for the most part, you started to hear the golf course start to firm up a little bit. That was kind of what the hope was. How it played on Sunday is kind of how people wanted it to play the entire week. The rough was definitely a factor, just enough wind. And then I think heading into the week, I didn't realize that how much pitch was around these greens. The guys were going to have to worry about controlling their spin so much, because when you put hole locations in the back and you got a 120-yard shot, you're like, okay, I can't really hit a gap wedge because it's going to have too much spin on it. So I'm going to hit a pitching wedge. But the problem is, if you hit that just a little bit too hard or flight it a little bit more through the wind, next thing you know, you're over the green. And that's the challenge with soft greens is trying to, take down the spin, but also make sure you're still hitting your number.
Very interesting. And do you feel like that holds true just for that course in general? Like, it's interesting to hear you talk about the way it played even when it was wet. Does this, if you get a full week of fast and firm, do you think that score looks different? Or do you think that the challenge posed by spin control with the way those greens are pitched and the wetness? Because I noticed this as well, watching like the early ESPN Plus coverage on Thursday and Friday morning. I was expecting more approach shots to be hit right at the number, right at the pin, have them stop quickly because of how soft it was. But there were actually guys that were missing a little bit long, kind of almost skidding or hydroplaning off the back of greens, maybe kind of to the point that you're talking about now, having to hit more club. Yeah.
Everybody's taking more club, taking spin off the golf ball. I think that how they could have been a little bit more challenged, obviously, is if the greens were faster. If they were faster and firmer, that's where it would have been challenging. But if they were just firmer, I think it would have been easier, because then you could have just hit full wedges and not been worried about them spinning back. But when you throw in, like, they were 12 on the stemp, if they were closer to like 13, 14, because there was enough pitch out there to where it felt a gust alike as with how much the greens were breaking. Rory was talking a little bit about it after an interview, was like, these greens break so much. There's enough pitch out there that it was similar to Augusta with how much break you had to play on some putts. Not this in every green, but this is some of the greens. It definitely caught your attention around, in that 10 feet area, because they put these hole locations up in the corners, which is hot. Most of the time, all these greens are funneling in this way. Like the sides of the greens are definitely always working towards the middle. So you, for the most part, are just always trying to figure out, all right, what's this going to do in that last foot? Because it's weird when you put it up to the corners, different than when you're putting towards the middle of the green.
Which holes do you have? Do you come away from this week with favorite holes? I know we were all delighted to see, I believe it was the par 3 14th that played 95 yards on Sunday, and just seeing some of that character that we were all expecting to discover, seeing Philly cricket on TV for the first time. Which holes do you come away saying, man, that's a really good golf hole?
Well, I have a couple.
Okay.
My favorite hole that I spent a bunch of time on because I was there on the weekend until my group got there was the second hole.
Okay.
It's a short par 4. Players could either hit 4 or 5 iron off the tee. It was downwind on the weekend, and you saw a mixed bag of players weighing up, and then other players that were long enough be able to drive it up near the green and then try to chip it on. But it was cool to kind of see the strategy of how even long players or short players wanted to attack the hole, because the wedge shot was, I thought, pretty simple to the back pin. But then on Sunday, when they put the pin up front left and there wasn't as much wind, guys that were in that no man's land of like, gosh, can I carry the 330-yard bunker? And if I can, then it turns into a potential easy birdie if I can get it into the green side bunker. But I saw some 5s on that hole. I saw some easy 3s. It was just like a fun option hole that I think Tillinghast gave you. You could either take out the first fairway bunker, you could take a club that would take out maybe the next fairway bunker, and then you could have the option of, all right, let's try to push it up as close as we could to the green. But then you have a green that works away, so the first 2/3 of the green slips front to back. So even if you hit it 40, 50 yards from the green, like Rory did in, I think this was his Friday round, he then dumps it in the front bunker.
Yes. I was watching it. It just was an unbelievably good drive to find a fairway that was, you're
was short-sided.
Yeah, and then with what was it, like 60 or 70 yards in?
Yeah, it was about 50 yards. Yeah.
Man.
So I thought that was a good hole. And then I thought I'm not a huge fan of long par 3s. I thought that 8th hole, that it wasn't quite the Redan. It kind of looks like it was a Redan hole, but it really wasn't. It was a deep bunker to the left, but there was no raised right side of the green and no good run-up area in the front. I love when bunkers poke out at you.
Yeah.
And they had at least 4 or 5 holes that just felt like bunkers at the corners of the fairways that just were poking out. And when you had cooler temperatures on Friday, all of a sudden, guys on the 10th hole, for instance, were hitting driver 110, 120-yard shot into the green. JT said on Friday he opened on that hole and hit 6 iron into the green. So it was cool to see what cooler temperatures and rain, how much shorter the golf ball was going, and how much that brought in all these fairway bunkers where Thursday nobody was looking at them. It was only 2 or 3 holes where you were.
I'm curious too on course comps. As I was watching this, the 2 places it reminded me of are one place I've played and one place I've only seen on TV. The first is Marion, just given similar geography, very similar topography from that same sort of classic era, and I love Marion.
I've never been there, so I wouldn't know.
The second was, and you tell me if I'm off here or not, but just from watching the PGA at Oak Hill a couple of years ago and seeing overhead shots of just the way that the fairways are mowed, and the way the kind of the fairway goes right into these thicker rough areas, and even it's interesting from that period of time, the bunkering that has this sort of uniformity with character, maybe, where you have kind of these smooth lines, but there's just sort of this, it's not like cookie cutter because of the way they've done the faces and the way they've kind of placed them strategically on the holes and the way they come together. It's not just there is some character to it, if that makes any sense. But Oak Hill and Marion were the 2 where I'm like, this place is evoking memories of that. Do you have other course comparisons or places you'd equate it to?
I never really could come up with a whole lot. Players that played up at the Northeast Am, Wannamoisett, there was a big amateur tournament that players would play, so that reminded of that event. It didn't really give me every now and then there would be a hole it would remind me of something, but for the most part, nothing that was just that was standing out. I mean, it was just a classic Northeast golf course. Tillinghast design, of course, and I loved how the bunkers too were, they had some steep faces, especially in the fairway, and all of the fairway bunkers were or really even greenside bunkers, all dead flat. Like there's no slope in the bunkers at all. So in the fairways, the ball would kick in and roll all the way towards the end. And so all week, really, balls were getting up in the corners of the bunkers.
So help me understand that. Are you saying that basically the sand portion is flat and then there's
dead
a
flat
steep grassed in face? So that's funny because that is maybe that's what that was exactly what Andrew Green tried to do in his restoration of Oak Hill prior to the PGA. Just instead of having those going into a face where there's actual sand, they were just bringing down that grass and creating a different kind of style of play there.
Tillinghast, it's well known for doing that, but also Pete Dye. A lot of Pete Dye bunkers are that way too.
Yeah, very cool. Well, and I'm curious, do you leave this weekend feeling like I'll say this. The question I was going to ask you initially is like, do we want to come back here? Do we want to come back to other courses? I think as I think about this more, the point of yours you've made before is the one to discuss, which is to say, saw a report last night or over the weekend. They sold out the first time, I guess, in the history of the tour. They sold out merchandise prior to Sunday. If you had a Sunday ticket, all the merchandise that was in the tents at the Philly Cricket Club for the Truist Championship was all gone. And I think they sent the fans on Sunday like a discount code for 10% off, whatever merchandise is left online. But that indicates to me just this is a market we should be going to with some frequency. And it's the same thing you've said a lot about, hey, latter half of the year when it's warm in a lot of these locations, even during the playoff time, can we go northeast and go to big markets where you're going to get support like this? Did you feel any of that being out there this weekend of just like, what were the Philly fans like this week?
Philly fans were great. Not as many fans as I thought there would be for this event, but it turns out they limited to, I think it was 17,500 every day, which is a little light. And that's mainly just trying to get people around the golf course. I would say probably it wasn't a very good spectating golf course because everything's so bottled up. All these holes are running right next to each other. There were few holes where all of the fans basically would kind of gather. Other holes, like the 14th hole, that par 3, that's 91 yards. There was no good vantage point really unless you were in the suites left because the cart path runs way below the green surface. Even the third hole, like you can't even get over to it till the other side of the third hole by 4T. So I didn't really think it was necessarily the best spectating golf course, a golf course that you would love to play, but not as many people as I was hoping that there could have been out there. And I think that was much more of a venue deal, just trying to make sure that, hey, we don't want to you don't want to overcrowd a place and just making sure that you can get people around.
Well, it was cool to see on TV. I think there was, it seemed like there was a lot of intrigue from a lot of people. Don't want to see a course for the first time, but see a course that's steeped in history like this. So that is our look ahead, look to the past of sorts. And now, Smylie, it is time to talk about the eventual winner of this tournament, the ascent he's been on this year. And we have the perfect sponsor to do that, Smylie, because our good friends at House of Atlas, we've talked on the show, I think it was last week, the week before, Brant Snedeker. It was the announcement of the President's Cup captains, a guy that's famously went from a long flow to just shaving that head bald and rocking that now. We're wondering whether or not maybe Jeff Ogilvy should follow suit. But Sepp Straka, this is a guy that is taken to the razor this year, and only good things have happened since. Have you talked to Sepp at all about the head shave? Is he giving you like inside intel on, is just really streamlining? It's having a huge impact on his golf game.
No, but what he's definitely been committed to, and I've seen this from him on the broadcast. I've seen him just walking around. He's consistent about making sure he takes his hat off a lot during the day to make sure that he gets a little sun on that head. So
that's the Stewart Sink dilemma, right?
Yes, because all of a sudden when you're going out to dinner and then the rest of your body's red, and all of a sudden you got a white top here. So I think he's committed to making sure that when he goes to dinner, goes to events, that everything matches. Like he wants to be the same skin tone.
A very important part of being a guy that shaves it bald. Not that I know, but I've seen this anecdotally. So
how often do you think guys that shave their heads? Like is that like an every other day thing?
Well, so this is a great.
Any bald guys in the chat?
Bald guys in the chat, please feel free to chime in. We'd love to just add this information in here. This would be my guess. It's you're probably shaving your head because you've had some sort of a hair loss issue in some way, shape, or form where you don't want to let your current hair pattern happen naturally, right? So if you're balding everywhere, that means your hair is growing less. You wouldn't have to shave as often. But if you're one of those classic male pattern balding guys where you have like the horseshoe, maybe it's growing more here and on the sides, but not growing on top, and as a result, you got to shave that thing almost every day unless you want that sort of that bald pattern to come back in. Is that making any sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seems like it did.
I'm a little too deep on the shaving thing. We don't know if Sepp used the House of Atlas razor to shave his head, but I mean, Smylie certainly could run into him in Alabama, maybe drop off some of that, some of the great shaving cream and aftershave that smells so good. And now for a limited time, House of Atlas is offering 15% off your first order when you purchase any razor kit in the before and after set, which includes a precision shave cream and the calming aftershave. Use code SMILEY at houseofatlas.com. That's HOUSEOFATLAS.com with promo code SMYLIE for 15% off your new razor kit and before and after set. Stop wasting money and time on shaving products that don't look good, aren't effective, and cost way too much. Visit houseofatlas.com today.
I think Bowser makes a very good point in the chat. Is there a better feeling that taking off your hat when it's brutally hot and you get a nice little breeze on that head? I mean, that's a good point.
Oh,
he's right there.
That's a good point.
Or even after a bogey and you're running hot, and then you take the hat off, and then just try to let the golf cart breeze kind of just bring you back a little bit.
I think that's a great point by Bowser. And also, I think there's been a lot of criticism of the old-fashioned tradition into the round. You know, the last putt drops, everyone takes their hats off, shakes hands. For me, that is sort of a symbolic freeing and relaxation. Okay, the round's done. Now I get to Bowser's point. Let the wind flow through my hair, run my hands through my hair, kind of let it just relax a little bit. Maybe untuck the shirt when I get in the car. I like it. Let's talk Sepp Straka. We waited a long time to talk Sepp Straka. And as we noted off the top of the show, he is now 9th in the world, 14th in the Data Golf rankings, 2nd in the FedEx Cup standings. This is his second win this season. Won the American Express, and of course the Truist Now. He also finished tied for 5th in the Arnold Palmer Invitational. He is playing very, very good golf this season, Smylie. All those stats reflect that. What are you most impressed by with Sepp this year? I mean, do you feel like there has been a material leap in one category of his game?
Well, that's a great question. As I was heading to find that currently on, I wanted to give you a fair answer there, but my instincts say that he's always been a very accurate driver of the golf ball. Always been a very good iron player. Not necessarily the longest player in the world. I mean, he's right around average, maybe a little below average. But he's typically on his good weeks, it's the Austrian microwave when it gets that putter. When that thing gets going, he hits so many fairways and that iron game's so solid. Has those kind of that 15, 20 foot range. He just starts hooping, man. And he was hooping this week. He gained 2.32 strokes gained on the putting this week, which it had to be first in the field, if not very close to it. You go look at any of his wins. It's really like his putting in general. You'll go down the list there and you'll see it looks like a roulette board, black and red. It's like green, red, green, red. He's a very streaky putter, but when he is on, he is on.
Well, and he gained, holy smokes, I'm looking at this right now. He gained 2.32 strokes putting this week, which is, and again, if you're looking at his, to your exact point, there are 3 weeks that stand out with a green bar on Data Golf where the strokes gained putting is way higher than his baseline, and it's the Truist, it's Arnold Palmer Invitational, and it's the Amex, and those are his 3 best results of the season. 2 of those in signature events. That putter, it reminds me of like the old Zebra putter. Like it's so in a world of optimization and new tech, it's like he's got this old retro thing, but whatever works. It's funny.
Oh, all right. So what else do I love about Sepp? His routine is, I think, the best routine on the PGA Tour when it comes to when he makes a decision and when he hits the golf shot. It's perfect. It is perfect. You know who has like the worst routine that is a PGA Tour card?
Who's that?
This guy. I have a PGA Tour card in my wallet, so I consider that to be a member.
That's fair.
Dude, it's incredible how quickly when he gets the club and he walks into the shot, it's club down, one look, club down, and then like the club's going back. It's so quick and fast, and it's not easy to do that, but like if you had a stopwatch every single time that he hit a shot from when he walked into the ball and when he actually hits the ball, it'll be within milliseconds every single time. The guy is just so routine, and I think it helps his rhythm a ton. I think he reminds me so much of a old school type of a player, like an Ernie Els, swings the golf club for being a very big guy with really good rhythm. You know, a lot of big guys have to work really hard to get down to the golf ball, but it's a really, really efficient golf swing, swings his torso and so incredibly well. It's just a very repeatable golf swing that you got to give him and John Tillery so much credit. They're constantly working on the same things. They're working on their motor pattern to make sure that because anytime I ask Sepp how he's playing, he's like, I'm kind of just same old thing. Just have to keep on working on this motor pattern. And so it's been fun to watch him just continue to improve, because I go back to when he was on the Korn Ferry Tour, he was missing cuts, and all of a sudden he wins a Korn Ferry Tour event out of nowhere in Kansas City that basically saved from him to go back to going to Q School, going back to the mini tours, and gets to the PGA Tour and has never left, and is now a top 10 player in the world. And heading into the Ryder Cup, European Tour Ryder Cup rankings, he jumped up 15 spots this week. He was 20th on those rankings because I guess Amex didn't get any points. I guess, is that what we decided?
Well, I think it would have been a lower amount of points. And
okay.
Again, we could dive.
Still
into
surprising, right?
There's a long document. Yeah, I guess that is a little surprising. We didn't get him a little higher, but.
But he's fifth. He's fifth now in the standings. Which, dude, we'll get into the Ryder Cup thing a lot throughout this year. But this European Ryder Cup team is going to be nasty, absolutely nasty.
Yeah, that is one. I cannot wait till we kind of get closer to as the picture crystallizes, because I go one of two ways on this. The first, which is you see the current constitution of that roster and the way those guys are playing, and you're like, we're cooked. Like, we're going to lose a home Ryder Cup. These guys are going to get done. But I also think that we were saying a version of that post Whistling Straits, and then that European team just sort of came together throughout the year with some young guys. You know, Ludwig Oberg started the year teeing it up for Texas Tech and ended it, playing in a Ryder Cup. So it's like one of those things where I think give it some time. Let's see which Americans play well in the remaining three majors. Let's see if any young guys really kind of make a stamp. And then, because we have, golly, Luke Clan is going to make his tour debut this year, once the NCAA championships are over Florida State. So there's a lot of time left. We'll figure it out. But, of course, Europe looking good right now.
I got 14 players for you. And I think it's going to come within these 14.
Okay.
Rory, Shane, Rahm, Rasmus Højgaard, Tyrrell Hatton, Sepp Straka, Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig Oberg, Thomas Dietrich, Nikolai Højgaard, Victor Hovland, and David Puig. I mean, that is stupid good.
David Puig, dark horse. That would be quite a pick, because he'd need one.
Oh, he would need one, but he's in he's in the PGA this week. He's a bomber, dude. He absolutely hammers it. So Beth Page, gotta hammer it out there.
Gotta hammer it. There are two comments we got as replies to our Instagram story. So just a reminder, you can send in questions that way too, and Jackson will grab those and send them our way. Same sort of topic. I'll read you both. Lisk M. Charles, on Instagram, asks, how long till Sepp wins a major? And then Jackson Alexander 24 asks, could Sepp be a dark horse at any remaining majors? Mm-hmm. Where do you like him this year? Do you think he wins one this year, or do you think this is more of like a table set for what could happen in future years?
I think him and Hatton could be going to a playoff at Portrush.
Ooh, okay. I like that call.
Well, Sepp has played good at the last two Open Championships. He finished second at Liverpool, and he finished top 25 last year at Troon. When you look at his other, Sepp missed the cut this year. He was a popular pick this year at the Masters, which was everybody's fault. Everybody kind of put the pressure on him. It's like, all right, Sepp's time to contend really at the Masters, and didn't play well. But he's got some top 25s. He finished the Masters last year 16th. PGA at Oak Hill, he finished 7th. But to your point, where does his game kind of fit? Quail, he's a good enough iron player. He just doesn't hit it long enough. He would have to really putt it well next week to contend. I don't see him necessarily winning next week or this week, I should say, at Quail. Oakmont, I think because how straight he drives the golf ball, yes, I could see him playing well there, but the greens will be super firm. The golf course needs to be kind of firm for him to kind of get that extra rollout. I think Portrush would be where I'd go definitely there, then go work my way back to US Open at Quail.
Okay. We got Sepp tabbed for Royal Portrush for the Open Championship. 2 wins this year already. A few other guys I'd like to talk to as we kind of play the rest of this week of Philly cricket out and look forward to the second major of the year, the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. But before we get to that, Smylie, let's talk Magic Mind here. Have you been on your Magic Mind routine thus far?
Yeah, I don't take it with me on the road.
Okay.
Well, I will sometimes. Just depends on how much room I have in my bag. I'm an overpacker by I think I get that from Fran. Ever since we got married, I just overpack now. And so it's when it comes down to a couple pounds, like I'm just going to make sure when I'm home, when I'm sleeping next to my oven of a golden retriever 95-pound dog, that the Magic Mind will definitely it definitely helps at the end of the day.
I will pack it this week. I'm going to bring it to Charlotte with me because I've gotten in my routine. I'm really sticking to it. And this is one of the things that you dislike the most on the show, so you're going to have to bear with me here. But I have a report from the Hope Valley Young Guys versus Old Guys.
Did you take the Focus thing out there?
Oh, I sure did. So
all right, tell me how you felt.
Okay, so I've been doing this for a while. I haven't played any high leverage golf while using it yet. But
high leverage golf. Shut up. Stop it.
I immediately realized how absurd that sounded.
High leverage golf, and Charlie's got a cooler full of God knows what. High leverage golf.
Magic Mind. Cooler full of Magic Mind. It's like the time I tried to compare like Hope Valley Men's League to Amanda playing collegiate soccer for Virginia Tech. That did not land as well as I hoped it would. So
it's a big deal.
It's a high leverage in my world. These are my majors. Okay, these are my team competitions. Sepp Straka is 5th on the Ryder Cup list. You know, I'm playing in the Suchak Cup at Hope Valley. All right. So here's what I had on Saturday was a combination of trying to do as best I can during Mother's Day weekend, but also playing 27 holes of golf that was going to take me all day long. And so,
wait, why is it Mother's Day weekend, or is Hope Valley scheduling? What is it? The member what?
It's like an old guys versus young guys Ryder Cup thing.
Still, that feels like the old guys scheduled this. They just said, you know what, this weekend works for all of us. The weather's going to be perfect. It seems like the young guys didn't have a say.
Oh, they know exactly what they're doing. I mean, they've won this thing 4 times in a row, so they knew exactly what they were doing. They showed up.
Got all the young guys in a tizzy.
They showed up with the score line from the previous year that they'd written in like the assistant pro calligraphy and put it up. Like they were flaunting it. And yeah, all of us showing up late because we're trying to, get every minute in so we're not in the doghouse on Mother's Day. So I took my Magic Mind sleep performance shot the night before, well rested, got up, got everyone out of the house. Amanda took the kids to the Greensboro Science Center, so they had a nice long day trip. Took my mental performance shot, and we did 9 holes of alt shot. My partner and I won 3-1 and shot even par. And then we did 9 holes of better ball partnered, and we shot.
Hold on. Well, tell me what difference you felt. I could care less what you shot. Tell me.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the story there, Smylie. I mean, for me, I really do think it's like calm focus. If I like distill it down for you, it's like very calm focus. I think sometimes we drink lots of caffeine, lots of cup of coffee. Some people do mix Magic Mind with coffee, but it's like no jitters, but very sort of a focused and lack of distraction and the ADD brain that I'm prone to.
So were you more focused in your golf game or more focused in your golf cart with your partner talking crap about the 2 guys that you were playing
Oh,
against?
we had it all going.
Were you so dialed in and like, I cannot believe these two guys? Like, it's unbelievable the amount of trash talk that happens behind the scenes when you play these matches against people. It's like all this like hunky dory, we're having a great time, but
the moment you get back in the car, you're like,
it's like
guy.
this guy.
Give me that putt. I can't.
This guy.
we had it dialed in with the Arch Manning, the slime dog celebrations. We were doing that over putts. I'm sure the old guys love that. Yeah, just give them a little bit of that. And yeah, we won 3-1. We won 1 up on better ball, shot 31, and then I had a putt for 32. I won 4-2 my singles match and had a putt for 32 on 9. So it was a
32.
Good,
wow.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention, after my first 18 holes, I went back into the bag and got some Magic Mind gummies. And that propelled that final finish. So that's all by way of saying, if you're in the market for something that you can even combine with your current routine on the golf course, whatever that looks like, whether it's coffee, whether it's beverages that have other things in them, Magic Mind kind of helps keep you in a clear, calm state, and you can go 3-0-0 in your Young Guys vs. Old Guys Ryder Cup, your club, and that's the guarantee I'm giving to you there. So check it out at magicmind.com. Smylie, I use that to tee up discussion about Shane Lowry, because there's obviously a lot of nerves, a lot of stress going into coming down the stretch trying to win a signature event, and in some ways the story of his year is similar to Sepp's in that he's played a lot of really good golf, consistently, except he just hasn't hoisted a trophy yet this year. What do you make of Shane's game? I know you said you like him at Royal Portrush. Obviously he's won the Open Championship there before.
Talk about Shane, you said?
Yeah.
Well, I like him at Oakmont. He had like a 3-shot lead last time we were there, heading into the last day. So I think it's hard not to like Shane at Oakmont too. Dude, it's incredible. I thought he said something pretty interesting after one of his rounds. Just talking about like how much improvement he's had in his game and just how he's a more patient player. He's just really good, man. Shane's just a really, really good golfer. This was a perfect golf course for him because just like Sepp, they're very similar, very, very similar. Both drive it very straight. I would say that Shane plays more shots than Sepp. Sepp kind of just plays the same shot for the most part. He'll change trajectories a little bit, but he just kind of plays the draw every single shot. Well, Shane will kind of move it around a little bit, but he'll go to the fade more than anything. That's kind of his go-to shot. But he'll bring it down. He can throw it up in the air. I think his iron game, he's benefited more by golf courses that play firmer so that he can get a little closer to the hole, to where his iron game doesn't get quite as much up into the air, but he's so accurate that he can hit his numbers.
And I mean, if you look at his results this season, only 3 times has he finished outside the top 20. In Mr. Cup Farmers Insurance Open, he had a tied for 39th at the Genesis, and a tied for 42nd at the Masters, but 2nd at the AT&T Pro-Am, 7th at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, tied for 8th at Valspar, and it's tied for 2nd at the Truist, and then a handful of other top 20 finishes.
Good, really, really good around the greens. I mean, we kind of know that with Shane, how good he is with a 60-degree chipping and bunkering. And then the work he's done with Stephen Sweeney on his putting it's really, really solid. It kind of let him down on Sunday, of course, with that 3-putt on 18.
What do you make of that? Like, I mean, because
the greens look chewed up, man.
Decide what you need to make, like whether you need to really try to make a birdie or.
It was a tough putt. The guys were. I thought Jim and Trevor kind of set it up nicely for the people that weren't watching all day to kind of talk about how tricky that little hole location was. It was a very unassuming front pin. Like, it didn't look difficult, but players were kind of struggling with the speed and under reading the putts there. And he knew he couldn't leave it short, hammers it by. But we kept on seeing some worm cams over the last like 5 or 6 holes with those lead groups. And me walking on those greens on Sunday too, they were soft, and guys that were wearing metals, the things were pretty chewed up. And you could see that with some of the worm cams. And I think it kind of got into maybe Shane's head a little bit. I know these guys can tap it down, but you're the last group of the day. Maybe that had a little bit of an impact too.
Is it, and you think partially on that, it's like when you get rain and they get soft and then it immediately dries.
Guys are wearing metals, man.
Chewed,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they're wearing metals too. So that'll chew them up.
Guys really still wear, like, what percentage of the field do you think was wearing metal spikes?
20.
Really?
Yeah, that seems about right. Maybe 25.
And the like the studs. We're not talking about like a metal like the
yeah.
screw-in thing, like a stud. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting to me.
I got a bunch of metal shoes upstairs that
Really?
I'll never wear again.
I was gonna say, do you ever break them out for fun?
What size shoe are you?
I'm an 11 or 11 and a half.
Okay.
What are you?
15. I'm a 10.
Oh,
I love that you didn't even take the bait.
yeah, no, without a doubt. I was just throwing you an alley-oop. I was gonna see where you're gonna take
Hey, in that same vein, talking about a player who's been really consistent, who's had like really good finishes, that like sneaky, like we know Shane has played well this year, but I guess until you were just read out the results, you wouldn't have known how well and how consistent. Tommy Fleetwood, go look at his results this year,
dude.
5 of his 8 starts this year have been in signature events. So this guy does not deal with anything other than signature events. And he's finished top 25. And I think just about every single event he has played in this year, he's had now 2 top 5s, I think, in signature events. One at Hilton Head and then one a backdoor really top 5 this week at up at the Truist.
So I'm just gonna fudge it a little bit for Tommy, and this starts worldwide. And he has not missed a cut this season, and he's finished top 20 or tied for 21st or better in every single start except a tie for 62nd at the Valero Texas Open.
That was a weird week too. That was a bad weather week. We'll give him a top 25 just because the weirdness.
tied for 5th the Genesis, tied for 7th the RBC Heritage, tied for 4th this week the Truist. His is a strange one because it's one of those ones where it truly feels backdoor every week, where he does something to kind of put himself out of position, or makes a string of odd short missed putts. I felt like was maybe the story a little bit this week, or at least the parts of the broadcast that I saw. But then you look at the leaderboard at the end of the week, and that's another respectable finish. Could he break through this week or maybe next week? And he's just feels like he's on the cusp of it. What would you, if you're in Tommy's camp and you're suggesting a thing to work on or a way to kind of get over that hump? Is there something specific you'd say?
Oh man, that's a good question. Because every week we have to talk about how he hasn't won on the PGA Tour, but we know he's capable of winning. He's won plenty of times on the TP World Tour, right? Tommy, to me, doesn't ever get the lead. He's always chasing. That to me would be the mindset, is how can I find a way to get the lead in a golf tournament? How often have we seen Tommy with a lead, right?
You're exactly right. I'm trying.
He's always on the board, but he never really ever has the lead.
Well, I'm trying to remember. Like it might have been Royal Liverpool. Did he ever hold the lead there when Harmon eventually won? Remember, he was in and around at maybe the second or third round.
He may have had the lead,
like tied for lead maybe.
But
that's the last time I can remember.
He putted so poorly.
Yeah.
He striped it. Oh, did he stripe it? And just wasn't making anything.
And it's maybe not exactly the same as Sepp, but again, if you're looking at the strokes gain data, all of his good finishes are the green bars moving way to the right, and then the ones where he's missing cuts or playing poorly, it's a really bad putting performance. It's just hard.
Jackson,
it feels like
Jackson said the RBC Canadian. That sounds right.
Yeah, that's right.
Him and Nick Taylor.
Well, that was even
I don't remember
further back than Royal Liverpool. I think
it was the same year.
2 years ago. It would have been a couple months before.
Yeah,
because that was a playoff, and then it was he contended later that year.
So watching him play a bunch, he doesn't hit it very long. It's very straight, a beautiful golf swing, and the putter is to me the biggest issue is that it's very, very hot and cold.
And Gary chimes in with it feels like a good point where his Thursday scoring maybe being an issue, and that theory holds if you're saying if you don't score well on Thursday, and he subsequently says Tommy with Keith Mitchell Thursday scoring, imagine that's a monster right there, a ball striking monster.
Well, Tommy would be if Tommy was a player that had the lead going into the last round of a major or the weekend of a major, he's a player that you would like a lot because he's so consistent, so solid, hits so many fairways and greens that you'll have to come and beat him. I think with him he's had plenty of top 5s, top 10s, and it's because he's so consistent and solid. but maybe just his length and his ability to maybe not make or have quite as much of an advantage to be able to go out and shoot, that really, really low one to go out and win a tournament on a Sunday. But it's not like he hasn't shot plenty of Sunday 65s, 64s he has, but just not when he's in that final pairing.
There are four more. About a week ago, we looked at 6 names and where they kind of were relative to the upcoming PGA Championship. 4 of those guys played this week at the Truist, and I think it's worth kind of playing forward their results this week to that second major of the year. Smylie, to do that, we are going to ship sticks from Philly Cricket Club down onto Quail Hollow for the next major of the year. Smylie, ship sticks, a ton of supporting benefits here. They have white glove service, complimentary insurance, real-time tracking, door-to-door service, international shipping, really for any occasions, whether it's a buddy's trip, a business trip, whether you're like us, it's a family vacation where you're trying to manage kids, strollers, extra luggage, all those things that can ruin your vacation before it's even begun. Smylie, what do you think if we're talking about taking golf clubs from a 1920s, a storied venue, to one that feels definitely more modern, more stadium suited at Quail Hollow? Is that a jarring thing, do you think, for some guys going from the Philly cricket to Quail and the different sort of test it poses? Different grasses too.
There's nothing confusing about Quail Hollow. These players have played it year in and year out. There's nothing that these guys are gonna be surprised about. If there was ever a major where guys don't care if it's a rain out on a Monday like it is today, they don't care. And so I think
they know it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think with Quail Hollow this week, it's all about how far you can hit it off the tee. It really is. If you can hit it far off the tee, it just gives you shorter clubs into the greens, par 3s that are over 200 for the most part, except for that 4th hole. Long iron play is going to be so important. And Rory, Xander, Bryson, it just seems like those guys are going to be the guys that rise to the top this week.
Well, if you have the distinct pleasure of shipping your golf clubs from the greater Philadelphia area down to North Carolina, the Charlotte area, both great hotspots for golf, use Shipsticks. It gets you from your front door to 4 easier than ever. They'll pick up your golf clubs from your home or office and deliver them on time, guaranteed to your golf destination anywhere in and outside the United States. No more airport headaches, no more lugging heavy bags, just easy, stress-free travel for golfers like you. Enjoy 20% off your next shipment by using promo code SMILEY, that's SMYLIE. And if you're watching this on YouTube, well, not right now during the live stream, but on the back end, we're going to throw some links down in the comments. You can just click right on that link and ship your golf clubs anywhere. Smylie, you just hit on a few names there of guys we talked about last week. The 4 I want to talk about are Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, and Jordan Spieth this week. So let's start with JT, who ends up kind of, in a way, backdooring a tie for second place with Shane via Shane's 3-putt on the 18th green. But I mean, this is a guy that we saw win at the Heritage. We've seen him win once since the last major. The putter just seems to look better and better every week. He missed sort of an inexplicable short one towards the end of this round that really would have given him solo second at 15 under, and maybe a chance to put some pressure on Sepp for a playoff. Stated JT's game heading to a place where he's already won a PGA Championship.
Oh, man. He's in a great spot.
Yeah.
Dude, his iron game was so freaking good and so fun to watch. He was hitting it pin high. He was hitting those feels. It was such a good course for him. I'm so surprised that the putter kind of went a little bit ice cold on him there at the end. But golly, his ability just to take spin off of a golf ball on a course like that was fun to watch. And he was driving it from when I was watching so good on Sunday. What didn't have the cut, I thought he was trying to I thought Trevor made a really good point that he was maybe trying to play too much of a fade, trying to kind of hit shots into the fairway. And that was a good observation by Trevor for sure. But the ball striking, it's there. The putter has been incredible this year in its spots for sure. I mean, he's top 20 in putting overall. But it's a big week for him in the fact that we know it's a good golf course for him. We know he's in form. And he needs to go out in a major championship. And it's been a long time since he's been in the hunt. Since he's shown up and had JT B stuff at a major. it's been fairly mediocre for him. I mean, you can go find the last time he's played well in a major. It's probably Southern Hills.
Yeah, I
The
was gonna
last
say
one
it
was
might
when
have
he
been the last time he
won.
won. Yeah.
Let's do that exercise real quick.
I'll pull it up while you're
Well,
talking.
he finished 8th in 2024. This would have been at was that Oak Hill? No, where was last year? That's
wow.
all right.
How are we forgetting where
Help me out here.
Valhalla. We're there.
Finished 8th there.
But that was a home game though.
Other
Yeah,
than that,
that ridiculous chip in, that was fantastic.
okay,
yeah.
let's do it. All right, so he finished first at the PGA at Southern Hills, and since then he went 37th, 53rd, cut, 65th, cut, 8th, cut, 31st, 36th. That's not JT at a major type of golf. So this is a big week in that he is in form. It's a golf course he's won at a major at. I think he's a lock at this point to be on the Ryder Cup team. He's going to be on that team. So he's basically playing with house money at this point to me. And gosh, it would be surprising if he didn't play well.
Yeah, man, I loved JT this week at a course where classic course, anyone who has ability to kind of express some artistry will get rewarded. Then you add in the weather elements where if it gets soft, you're probably gonna need to shoot a low score. JT is very capable of doing that, and he's right there at the finish. With kind of
you got first pick, dude, this week and one and done, and I think you got a tough first pick.
Well, I have an embarrassment of options, which is nice. I also got to look back and see who I've unsuccessfully burned and one and done.
I mean, you'll be taking some form of either Scotty, Xander, JT, Bryson, or Rahm, right?
Yeah. That's. I mean, I think it's a tough decision right now for me, and this is interesting too because this kind of segues into the next player we're going to discuss, Rory McIlroy, who finished tied for 7th this week at 10 under, and. I would have thought for sure, given his run of form, he would have been the odds-on favorite, and the odds, at least at one point, had moved in that favor. But we're back to now. Scotty's going off at plus 400 on DraftKings Sportsbook. Rory at plus 450, which is interesting to me because, as we talked about last week, Scotty has only ever played Quail Hollow, at least on a PGA Tour, Major Tour context, in the President's Cup. Never played an individual event here. And you kind of led off this discussion by saying it's not like there's a lot to figure out about this course. It's kind of all right there in front of you. But I think to me, the course history for Rory McIlroy and Justin Thomas is a big, big factor. I mean, is it for you with Rory, would you place him above Scotty in your own personal odds making, given he's played so well at this place and now he's freed up having completed his career Grand Slam?
It's right even odds for me. I would probably lean Scotty right now.
Really?
Although it's just hard to win. History shows it's very difficult to win back-to-back majors. That's why I'll lean Scotty a little bit. He's a little more rested, but I think this week was a good week for him. Talking about Rory at Philly, in the fact that he knows he's got to go work on his ball striking a little bit. I was out there with him all week, pretty much saw him play just about every hole, it felt like, and he was a little bit off at times. And I think he talks a little bit how Houston, for instance, this year, a very wide open golf course, that he kind of struggled with picking certain lines off of tees and struggled to hit fairways. He struggled to hit fairways this week, and Quail, of course, is a little bit more tree line, kind of it's shaped a little bit better, and he drives it better, hits more fairways there than a place that maybe you can't really pick targets quite as well. So look for him to try to improve a little bit on his driving at Quail. But then at times when he had to hit the mid to long iron shot, which was not a ton this week, I felt like he didn't quite have the kind of that hold shot. He was hitting really, really nice, like knockdown iron shots, which was something he struggled with for years, right? With his ball striking, but that side of his game was really good. So when he does have wedges next week, I won't feel bad about that. He just seemed like his mid to long iron game kind of had the lefts going a little bit, was maybe a little bit underneath it. So I think he'll probably work a little bit on his ball striking on Tuesday and Wednesday in the lead up before this, knowing that it was a little bit off, and that at Quail, you know, those you got to be really on with those middle to long irons.
Our next guy on the list, Xander Schauffele, this week finishes tied for 11th, one shot behind Rory at 9 under. We talked about the section of the schedule which Xander picked to come back from the injury that set him back at the beginning of this year. So let's throw out the tied for 40th at the API. Let's throw out the 72nd at the Players. Going from Bay Hill to TPC Sawgrass, two unforgiving venues if you're trying to ease back into things. He's finished tied for 12th at the Valspar, tied for 8th at the Masters, tied for 18th at the RBC Heritage, and tied for 11th at the Truist. All top 20 finishes. I mean, I'm feeling very, very positive if I'm in Xander's camp, and I'm trying to kind of ramp back up into high-level, competitive golf while missing a big chunk of the year that all these other guys used to get back up to speed, sitting out with that rib injury. From what you saw of Xander, any concerns related to health or form, or is this a guy that is right there in that top-tier group of guys who could win at Quail Hollow?
Well, he just has to have everything come together. I think it's simple as that. The results, good to see that he's, kind of working his way near the top 10 of the leaderboard, kind of how you just read out his last 4 starts. We have talked about his putting this year and how that's been down, but he gained 1 stroke on the green this week, which I think is a positive step. He's had 4 weeks in a row where he's finally in the positive with the putter. We knew that was going to eventually come back to the middle ground to where he's an upper echelon putter on the PGA Tour, one of the elite putters. The iron game's been really good this year. The distance off the tee, 20 yards compared to the field average. That's how much he was gaining as far as distance and yards goes last week at the Truist. So all the things that we just said. All right, so he's going to drive it far enough at Quail. Mm-hmm. He's going to have a distinct advantage there. The iron game has been really good at points this season. Around the green, of course, has always been pretty solid there. Putter's been down, but it's been up. So really, the only concern that you have coming into the week is, can he put 72 holes together? I think you feel really good that he'll give you 60. Will he give those 12 holes? Is he able to salvage the momentum in major championships that you have to have? Guy that's won twice, made 2 majors last year. I look for Xander to have a really good week this week.
Last guy that we want to talk about here, the story that many are rooting for. Can we get 2 career Grand Slams completed in the same year? It would be pretty wild. Jordan Spieth this week at Philly Cricket finishes tied for 34th at 4 under. I know we talked a lot about just his run of form this year, the way he, in a similar fashion as Xander, kind of got right back in the swing of things post-injury, post-surgery on his wrist for Jordan, and the games looked really, really good and really sharp. Do you see this? What does this finish represent to you? Is it sort of like kind of running out of steam at the end of a long run of golf, or just that last final tune-up week so we can kind of go out on a high note before I assume he's gonna rest post Quail Hollow, post PGA Championship, given how much golf he's played?
Yeah, I think Jordan's he's swinging it good enough to be able to contend. I think the belief just has to be there, just to take the hands off the steering wheel and just try not to overwork yourself this week getting ready. The golf swing is there. It's going to be about him going out and just trusting it and just knowing that, hey, my stuff is there. Let's go try to literally just not think about it quite as much. I think his brain has been turned on for quite some time, just in his way working back to this golf swing that he's been chasing. He says it is video-wise is as close to where it was back in 2017 and some of the other older videos that he's been chasing. So it's starting to match up on camera. But I think at times he kind of gets in that mode of, is it quite there? And like, will 1 or 2 bad swings kind of derail the confidence to where he can't put that aside and then just go play the next shot? I think if Jordan's able to take the hands off the steering wheel a little bit this week and just go trust that it's there, I think that is how Jordan plays his best golf this week.
We have a listener/viewer question on the way out. And if there are any others you guys want to get in before we wrap the show, because we're near the very end, Liz Bervin on X says, what do you think of Xander's menu for the PGA? And I'll say I had not seen this. I guess it just got released a few hours ago. There is a menu. I am going to attempt to share it for you if I can do that, okay? And we're going to look at it together. This is an image I sourced from golf.com. So the Champions Dinner, his appetizers were starting with a smoked goat cheese dates with pistachio and prosciutto.
Clams Casino Shooters. That's what I had the other day. Those things are unreal.
clams, casino shooters, pickled watermelon with feta and jalapeno, steak and blue cheese crostini.
Yeah, I don't like blue cheese. No thanks.
The main course is okay. Let's review the appetizers. Let's do this one thing at a time. What? So you're a fan of the clam casino shooters?
Oh, I think it's a fantastic app list.
Okay,
it's in a good spot. I would maybe do. Hey, can we do a little ranch instead of the blue cheese?
Yeah, I'm also not a blue cheese guy. It's also kind of high end appetizers. I mean, I'm sure they're delicious, but maybe something for the commoners. Maybe something a little blue collar there, Xander. Main course: Wagyu New York strip with blackened jumbo shrimp. More blue cheese in there, gremolata, and frizzled onions. What's a frizzled onion? Do you know what a frizzled onion is?
I don't know. I think it's like when it's humid outside, they just put the onions out and they just frizzle.
I haven't the slightest clue what a frizzled onion is. But they're serving that with the Wagyu New York strip and then whipped sweet potato, bourbon bone marrow reduction. I'm sure it's fantastic, Smylie. I just don't know what like 3 of the side accoutrements. Does that kind of drive you nuts sometimes where you order some food and you know it's going to be good? They're like the ingredients all look good, but the thing they're talking about for the preparation, you're like, I don't have no clue what they're going to put in front of me when I order this thing.
I just, again, no blue cheese and everything else. Give me extra frizzled onions if you don't mind.
Okay. I'd like to try a frizzled onion. Maybe we can track one down this week in Charlotte. Dessert is going to be a banana split with salted vanilla gelato, Luxardo whipped cream. Golly, I'm really getting put on the spot with all these things. What is that? Bruleed banana, crushed peanuts, rum sauce, chocolate dipped wafer, and then a strawberry shortcake with sweet biscuit, vanilla bean whipped cream, Chambord syrup, and fresh strawberries. I feel like I said all those things wrong. I don't know. But it's, again, sounds very fancy. Like this to me feels like a very high-end.
I'd be excited about that menu. Yeah. So 9 out of 10. It would have been a 10 out of 10 if they, if no blue cheese, it would have been 10 out of 10.
So it was an 8-1 for the cheesesteak in Philly. It was a 9-1 for the pizza. An 8-8 for the cheesesteak in Philly. A 9-1 for the Angelo's Pizza, and it's a 9 out of 10 for Xander's PGA menu.
Yeah.
Smylie the food raider.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Good stuff across the board. Thank you for
and
the
questions. Cigars and a humidifier, I think, is also a gift he's giving. I don't know if you saw that too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. I was just looking at the menu itself, but I need to
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's a big cigar guy.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I've got a little something for you on that front. I'm gonna bring you a little box of cigars to the PGA. We had a little friend of the show send some stuff in. So right. Jackson, who will be accompanying us, this is a good little preview for we will be in Charlotte. We got a lot of cool stuff planned for the week of the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. Jackson says tune in on Wednesday as we will be live streaming a frizzled onion review. Jax, you bring the frizzled onions. I have no clue where I'm meant to source those, but yeah, excited. We're gonna have a preview show dropping Wednesday, the full PGA preview like we do for all the majors, and then we're gonna have our daily journals on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, right after play concludes as usual. And then stay tuned on our Sunday plan. We're going to try to do something different, something fun for the end of the PGA Championship and see if that works out. It's a little bit of a live stream, incorporate the viewers into the production of that show. So we appreciate y'all watching and listening. Smylie, I'll give you the platform for final thoughts as always before we get ready to head to Charlotte.
Yeah, just planes, trains, and automobiles this week, to and fro. Looking forward to Quail. The Thursday through Sunday weather looked pretty good last time I looked, and yeah, I think I'm looking forward to the preview. But gosh, it's hard not to see one of those 5 guys win this week, whether it be Rory, John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, Bryson DeChambeau. It's a Fab 5 right now.
It's a good looking board. It's the first time in a long time I can remember where, there are a lot of compelling cases to be made for about 5 or 6 guys at the top of the board who all go win this week. So fired up for that. We're looking forward to talking to you very soon, and I appreciate you watching and listening. Go enjoy some frizzled onions. See ya.